But
Yeah, right? Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
I don't know what
live. I think it might have stopped. No, I don't know. I had to figure out how to change the camera.
Like, what's it called?
Cool.
ooh, guys, we could go to Monday Night Worship next week. We're heading up to
So
Leesburg.
this is Circle of Reason, where we talk about philosophy and things and stuff. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're talking about artificial intelligence.
Who are we?
Go.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding. So the question that I posted on LB Live, I think is interesting. Like, if an artificial intelligence gains sentience, then does it
like
get
control over like humans?
No,
no
we said we control itself.
self-aware?
Oh, okay.
It becomes
Self-aware.
self-aware, like
Steven, nice shoes.
a mind.
Thank you.
Who
Uh,
wears those shoes?
Does it become a person, or
No.
does it have rights?
A person.
Like, if you build a
human
robot-
is something that's created by God, I'd say. So,
Okay.
you know, something that's created by man, that's not human.
What if it's like indistinguishable from a human?
What about a mule? That doesn't happen naturally, but it's still an animal.
A mule?
Yeah, but like, it's like the human. Like we didn't create mules.
Human
out of our own
intelligence?
intellect, you know.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
We made it a horse with a donkey.
Yeah, but we didn't.
That doesn't happen
We didn't put all
naturally.
its pieces together. You know?
Well, okay.
No.
We
Okay.
create-
So like, if a robot or an artificial intelligence becomes like indistinguishable from humans, it can feel, it can think for itself, it can make decisions, it has choice, and it has like, it becomes indistinguishable from a human. Then does it deserve rights? Should
I'm
it
not
have
sure that-
have freedom of speech?
I
Should
don't
it
think it's
be?
a human, but I don't know.
I'm
if
not
it's
sure that,
right.
that machines will ever really be able to do creativity.
I'm not so Republican.
Well, okay, so there.
It's the truth of the matter.
Did you
When
guys?
Something's created by God. It's not human.
I don't, but we get to decide, I think, as a society, who gets rights and stuff like that, like through our
but something that's
legislation.
created by our own intellect.
Okay,
still
hold on.
isn't.
So, like, think about this. Like, animals
I know animals have rights.
have rights, right? It's not okay
You
to
can't
neglect your
abuse
animal, or you
animals.
can be fined or jailed or whatever, depending on the
Yeah.
severity of it. So
Well,
animals
I
have.
thought you said you could elect your animal.
What?
You're not supposed to.
No, you can't neglect.
I'm not saying that the robot wouldn't
What are you
necessarily
doing?
have rights, that we shouldn't necessarily
Good.
give it
I thought you
rights.
said elect.
But I
elect
don't
the
think
animal.
it's human.
No. I'm not saying if it's. I'm saying if it becomes sentient, does it deserve to be protected by like rights? Should you be able to
Okay.
neglect
Should
your
we-
robot?
Should we place value on it? So, like, if it does something inherently to help us. We lost that person.
No donut for you. Too bad.
I get it done.
Can I have a donut?
You can have it done.
What's that stinking blue paper?
Facebook donuts are good.
Maple
missing
bar
out.
ones are better.
So far, nobody's watching, but it's okay. This will be on YouTube forever.
No, it won't. Inevitably,
Google will erase it.
Okay, so the most likely artificial intelligence is going to like actually become like a actual, I think, thing is probably Google's DeepMind AI,
Sure.
where it's actually taught itself games and things like that. And so like the most recent thing I've heard about is that there's a game called Go, which apparently has been around for like 2,500 years. It's like super complex, and there's lots of strategies. There's like 10 to the 82nd number, or 10 to the 170th amount of moves and strategies that you can have in this game. And so like a couple years ago, Google's AI
It looks really simple, but it's
beat the world champion
Alright,
10 to
Chris.
1 or something like that at this game called
Go,
Go.
go.
And so, but it taught itself how to do it. Nobody programmed it to like learn it. It started.
It's always adapting.
So So what the way it learns is it runs through lots and lots of like generations of information, like so it can play itself and beat itself thousands and thousands of times, right? So it can outpace how many times we can as humans.
Isn't that the
play
way
game.
that in war games, how the AI in war games thought with
Right.
Professor Falcon and stuff, right?
Is that a Star Trek
Falcon.
reference?
No, Professor Falcon.
I think that's his name.
War Games. Is a movie called War Games
Oh.
about hackers and an AI.
That makes sense. So anyway,
Professor Falcon.
if Google becomes
I'm
sentient,
Falcon.
should we be able to accuse it of a
Ouch.
crime without due process
Yes.
and throw it in jail.
Well, I mean, if it can make,
Does it deserve rights? Like the right to a lawyer?
If it has
Or-
the ability to do so, why not?
But it's a robot. I mean,
So it.
Yeah,
could
so
we
if it
just
can-
shut it off without? If it
I
could
think
feel-
robots are
But then it
Great
wouldn't be by
idea.
itself. Then it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be sentient if we had control over its stuff.
But don't you want to know that?
I mean, you
like
could turn a
robot.
person off by killing them. I mean, just because it's sentient, like, so it'd be like
guess
in
it's
effect
true.
by turning off this robot, you'd be killing it. You'd be ending its consciousness.
well, I
like-
mean,
I feel like there's-
could
because
you
you
have a
just turn it
turn
on
off
when
and on?
It's
Like,
it's a little more control over it though. Stuff.
yeah.
Well,
You can
I would say if
control
you
a
would
human
if
like
you
that.
erased the software, maybe that would be killing.
Just like you reset it every day. Would that be ethical?
Well, that would be
If it
like
has
mind
memories
wipes,
and
like in
feelings.
Star Wars. The droids in Star Wars, they have to have mind wipes or they become sentient, right?
It wouldn't be ethical to erase its memory every day.
Have you heard of that droid thing, the droid effect,
I'm not.
where in Star Wars droids become sentient and if they don't get regular mind wipes?
I know.
I think the droids in Star Wars are sentient.
It's pretty.
They,
Like R2D2 is
Guys,
definitely
Well,
Well,
sentient.
you never had-
specific ones are because
What is she doing?
Our-
they,
Harry
they,
Potter's
don't
coming
get
to
wipes.
Netflix.
But
Yeah,
most of the
probably.
droids aren't because they always experience wipes, like Steven's saying. But because they leave R2D2 alone, he has all these thoughts and has generated, thousands of programs in his head. Past
So-
the normal droids.
Does he have a head? I thought he just had like a
A
top
unit
or something.
in whatever CPU he's got. I don't know.
C-3PO is eventually these people stopped wiping him and he became sentient. He was wiped earlier.
Okay, so then using the Star Wars droids, 3PO and R2D2, like, if they lived in our society
I love R2D2.
and say they were accused of a crime, would it be ethical to just throw them in jail without giving them a process, like a trial or an investigation, just because they're a robot?
No, it wouldn't be
I'm
ethical.
a robot.
I mean, I
Please
think we might
don't.
want to like
I am.
have things like if sentient beings, if robots become sentient beings, I would say maybe have some sort of like way to watch over them, or like cameras on them that would kind of like show what they're doing. We could kind of monitor them that way
Yeah, the
because we
robot.
have this fear that like robots will.
I
Well,
think
that's an
robots are a
interesting-
great
that's an
idea
interesting
because
thing.
they could serve me.
It could serve you- Well, yeah, if you could
It
have
served
robot
me at
bartenders.
my
So they'd be slaves?
yeah, and they would
Well,
serve
but
me
we can
my,
employ- but
my
could we-
gin and my
How could
whiskey.
we-
Could we
and
employ robots? Could we pay
How?
them to be
What would
bartenders?
they get out of it?
We get money.
I would not have
What would
to.
they do
I
with
wouldn't
them?
have to
They
get
would
off the couch
buy-
to get
well,
my
I don't know.
alcohol.
They
They
would
have
buy-
their
Just
own
come to me.
houses, kind of like what about Blade Runner, where they are not people, but they're like. Have you seen Blade Runner?
I haven't actually.
Maze Runner? No,
Mhm.
Blade Runner. It's a different one.
Well, there's this idea of these man-created. They're people, but they're not born of human. So
Are they some sort of like, they're kind of are they like genetically grown?
yeah, but
But
they're exact people.
They're
just
organic, yeah.
Mhm. They look like people you couldn't tell, except they do act differently. They're able to be controlled, which is really odd concept. But the thing is, they're the slaves they look down upon because they're not,
Like fully human.
because they're not born from a person,
Hmm.
and they don't have rights. But why not?
Or they're growing in test tubes, basically, or something like that. But they're not actually even like made from a. Are they made from a sperm and an egg, or are they sort of like constructed
I
in
think
some
they're constructed.
sort of artificial way?
Okay, so if we had robots, would it be ethical to like record everything they see,
I
To,
think
like-
so.
watch over them?
We don't record
Because-
like our cats.
Yeah, but robots like
I mean, that's an invasion
Robots-
of privacy. According to we have the Privacy Act. Like
Like
the
you
NSA
can't-
is technically not supposed to watch everything we do.
yeah, but I would say robots are a different category maybe
Why?
because like they're
They're different than us.
yeah because they are different from
That's-
us and I don't know if I would say that they have a potential to rebel against us, but I would be a little bit concerned about that to some degree.
So here's the idea: like, should we
Like
even
a-
like create should we keep pursuing AI at all? Because like the logical, so say we create an AI that's supposed to like solve all of our problems, like
AI.
solve world, artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
It's called artificial insemination, guys.
If you're an ag,
You.
That's what it
Farmer.
seriously stands for.
that's no AI stands for artificial intelligence
If
in
you're a
our
nerd,
in our little circle of reason here. See what I did there?
You guys are nerds.
Yes, it's
that yeah,
actually pretty true.
Thank you.
So anyway,
appreciate it.
should we keep
welcome.
pursuing AI if like the result of like a calculation is if you want to end world hunger,
Yes.
get rid of all the humans?
Well, I think it's a foregone conclusion that AI is going to be pursued.
Okay, so but like, should we keep? What kind of like constrictions could we put on it? We're like,
Why would
Are
put
we-
restrictions on?
are we not just like courting our own demise by creating a
So,
computer
wouldn't
that's
that
just?
be better?
Well, we're just creating.
Well, okay. What if
It's just going to lead to human annihilation. Then why would
can
we
assume
create
that?
it?
What if we assume that because we're always assuming robots like don't have this thing called emotion. What if we program it to like be able to think that way? Right?
Then I would be concerned that
If you're
it would start to become self-centered and want,
So are people.
60-year students.
yeah, which is why we
Right.
should
Give
have
it rights, right?
regulations around them because they could rebel against us.
We rebel
So we
against
would
each
we
other all
would
the
want
time.
to instill like emotion,
Yeah,
like
but
human values.
Robots
Yeah.
aren't living creatures.
So think, have you guys seen? Has everyone seen Age of Ultron, the
Yes.
Avengers movie?
Super good.
No.
Yeah.
Come on,
No,
man,
Or
really?
No, I
Okay,
haven't
No?
seen that
You
one.
know
You
how
haven't
that works? How you
I've
put
seen Thanos.
Even
those
Infinity
movies
War?
on and I like fall asleep within 5 minutes.
Okay, well, there's a good robot and a bad robot. There's a good robot, or there's a bad robot.
Ultron.
They try to like create it, and it's like it's a combination of multiple personalities and stuff like that. But then it just like it becomes like connects to the internet, and it's just like becomes so advanced. It's like, well, obviously, the best way to fix things is to get rid of a bunch of people. You know, you decrease the population, and all this kind of stuff. It's like devoid of human values, like the value of life and stuff like that.
It's very statistical, very, very,
More like what
Mathematical.
you think a robot would be.
yeah, mathematical.
And then there's another
Because
robot.
we made robots to have that image.
There's another robot that's like basically indistinguishable from human. He's got 3 different types of personalities that have come together, and like he's really, really complex and stuff like that. And
He
he,
values every single part of life in different ways.
but he's super intelligent and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and all this kind of stuff. So like, which is the more realistic kind of
Which
thing?
robot is that?
Jarvis.
The Vision, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's formed from Jarvis. I always just associate with him because it's the same voice.
it's like a combination of Jarvis and the Mind Stone. Just one of the Infinity Stones.
Because I mean, Thanos has the same idea, as Ultron. Just wipe out half the population, things would be better, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's their idea. I don't really know.
Not gonna work though. Spoiler alert.
Why wouldn't it?
To wipe out half the population?
Yeah.
Because that's just a terrible idea to kill people to solve your problems.
I agree, but the logic.
But can you logically defend it?
Okay, but logic isn't always
I agree.
I
completely agree.
Right.
I'm just
Wait,
saying.
okay.
If
So
it's
with
not
that,
math-
why
I
would
would
why?
say-
why should I defend it logically?
I don't know if
Why
it's
should I
logic.
defend it
I don't think it's
emotionally?
I don't think it's logic. I think it's just
Why are we all
a,
What
frustrated
about
tonight?
rational?
What happened to the
I don't think
robots?
it's logic. I think it's math. Is basically what it's just doing math.
This is how this
But
happens.
even if you
Just
use
kinda goes
logic
with
or math or whatever, it just goes to a point where there's a devaluing of human life.
I know, I'm saying
because
in logic-
mathematically we're just a number. So
Yeah,
you
but
decrease
logically-
the number.
Logically speaking, it is in logic that people know that. Logically, I mean, if you wipe out half the population, there's going to have to be a whole bunch of. You have to do something with the bodies, and.
They just disappear though.
Not if you incinerate them or they just turn to ash. I
Well,
mean,
Thanos would just disappear.
with Infinity War.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
the
know.
emotional effects upon everyone else, and
Not if you could just make them.
But if
think
we're
better.
creating a computer that doesn't have
how can you just
emotion,
make them think
it's
better?
not going to.
That's the whole idea behind Thanos.
It's not going to have an effect. Like, that's my point. Is like it doesn't matter what we feel about it if the intelligence, the artificial intelligence, comes to the conclusion that all humans need to die. It doesn't matter what we feel about it. It's just gonna. And you know, this is like the thing that happens in like all
What
the
about the-
stories and movies and
What
stuff
about
like
the
that.
droid from Han Solo? Did you guys see Han Solo?
No, I
Oh,
kind of
that-
refuse to watch
the,
it.
The droid that
Anyway, the
Actually,
droid-
no, it's not on DVD yet. So,
It is, but the
Han
droid.
Solo.
Mamma
Um,
Mia 2 is.
well, it's a red box.
it doesn't really matter. It's actually you can buy it, but the droid. The droid wants to help Lando. Okay, it's Lando's droid, but the droid is still thinking, hey, we should free these droids. You know, we should have this rebellion against people. But she doesn't because she still listens to Lando because she still, for some reason, you know, likes Lando. And even though she has these thoughts and computes that, hey, we better just get rid of the people, she doesn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's still some type of program in her that says, hey, you know, maybe Lando's cool. I don't know what it is. But obviously, you know, there's these two thoughts that can happen. You know, either you can have a droid that wants to kill everybody, or you can have like an R2D2 that can, you know, help people, or there's somebody in the middle. It's not just always one way or the other.
And like that's true, but like I think you're gambling when you just create a system that teaches itself,
Sure.
which is what we've done,
It depends on what information gets fed into it, usually.
or what information it has access to. And in our current situation, it has access to the internet. It's like a global accumulation of all this information. What's it going to learn about us?
It's going to learn that people are probably disgusting or something. If I don't know if it can feel disgust though.
Would it teach itself emotions? And then like maybe it would eventually develop emotions, but maybe that'll be too late, and then it'll be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't know. Will it
How
feel
do
regret?
we know that it would just value something over something else? Like, how do we know it would value logic over emotion and reason over emotion and, you know,
Well, the
human
natural,
life?
Well, what's-
the natural
even if it
inclination of the
values-
computer, the natural inclination of the computer is towards math and numbers and logic and stuff like
That's
that,
sweet.
which is
even
Well, you're
even
basing
even
that on
closer to math.
assumptions.
To math. Well,
Well, like, so we think of computer as just a bunch of math and numbers, right? So that's how we gave its image. So that's how we make them think. How do we know a computer that's created solely just to think about a million different things is just going to focus just on numbers?
No, we don't.
well, wouldn't it compute whatever it needs to? Wouldn't it think mathematically and analyze things?
Don't you think? Don't you think sometimes about numbers? Don't you think about?
Yeah, sometimes, not all the time.
Well, yeah, but how do we know a computer would think that way all the time?
Because they would be using a computer to analyze everything.
Oh, okay. So have you guys heard of the game Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yes.
Have you played it?
I've watched a little bit.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is this concept in there. It's all basically it's like a post-apocalyptic thing. There's like all robots and everything. Like the robots are like animals. Like all the actual animals are gone, and most of the animals there now are all robotic. Well, you know, part of the plot is that they wanted to design an AI, but they didn't want to just destroy everything. They wanted it to create life, basically. They wanted it to protect and so like the goal was to create a robot, an artificial intelligence, and then it hung out with the creator and learned from the creator, and that's how it taught it like a child, basically, and instilled in it like human values to protect life and to do this kind of stuff like that. So I mean, could we do the same thing theoretically?
So it's all basis on how we teach it, what's its rising up, you know, its fundamental values.
What if we create like a super smart system of AIs that can like reproduce itself, but then it like splits, like humanity is split, and then there's like this huge war over protecting humanity, and like it's the robots fighting each other about what's the best way for.
Have you ever heard of the movie Chappie?
Yeah,
So where there's this artificial intelligence that this guy creates and he puts it into this robot.
right.
And the thing, he wants to raise it up and teach it, you know, to have a simple
Like
and
to be good.
to be good, but he ends up being stolen by a bunch of bad people. So he ends up having a negative, education. It was interesting.
But even despite that, in the movie, it's kind of like he still retains some of the good values and stuff like that.
That he learned from the person who made him.
Yeah, there was a really powerful scene in there about like forgiveness and stuff like that. It's like the robot could teach some humans how to forgive people.
It was really interesting because the robot applied to the people who took him, the person that made him, and the person who were trying to get him back. So, I mean, it was really interesting.
I just think it's worth thinking about because we have major tech industries that basically have a pretty strong influence in the way things go. And we've seen that, the way people use social media and stuff can even affect like real world stuff like politics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't.
And so if we have algorithms for these things, right? So YouTube, Facebook, Google, or whatever, with Google and YouTube, or Google owns YouTube, so so an algorithm is a form of artificial intelligence. Like, what are we teaching artificial intelligence? Like, are we teaching it to like censor types of words and speech that we don't like and stuff like that? And how would that affect our politics and how we relate to each other interpersonally? And like what? I mean, I think it affects us, but what do you guys think? Is that too real?
I'm kind of confused about the question.
What are you asking specifically?
I'm so confused in general, so.
Part of it.
How should we
I guess-
respond to artificial intelligence in our life? Should we pursue it? Should we think about it? Should we just go follow it blindly? Should we challenge it?
I wouldn't say challenge it. I think we have to. I don't know. I would be very protective about, very restricted about how I pursue artificial intelligence. I feel like Google and like Facebook and all these other companies, they would I feel our world is very self-focused, and like we're not taking into like we might develop artificial intelligence, be developing it too fast right now.
Why do we have to let fear control that aspect? Like, I feel like the robot or the
Because
artificial
We're
intelligence,
human beings and we screw everything, so.
not everybody
We're not
fears
all
everything
perfect.
though. Okay, that's so general. Anyway, it's general. Okay. What was I trying to say?
Why should we be afraid of it?
Well, okay, so us being afraid of it is just gonna make the robot, fearful in itself.
No, not necessarily.
I feel like because we have such a negative attitude,
and fearful.
I think if we have a negative attitude with it initially, it's always gonna think negative initially, and it's gonna grow from that. So what if we had ways to challenge the AI in a healthy environment, rather than always being protective and fearful from it?
So we're talking about artificial intelligence, like
Caught on to that
robots and stuff, and then like,
Did you?
do they deserve if a robot, artificial intelligence becomes sentient? Should we give it rights? And then like, how does it affect us nowadays? And where Google is like experimenting
Should
with
we give
AI and stuff like
something
that, and
That's not.
should we keep pursuing it? Should we be careful about it? Like, what are the ethical repercussions of having an AI? All that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So,
That's a cool story. Just.
so I think that there's implications in like having an artificial intelligence that like reads your emails and like reads your Facebook posts and everything like that. Like,
Why would you want something to read your face?
I mean, it does. So the YouTube, like the Facebook algorithm reads your posts and censors like it'll if it finds
It doesn't
something.
really know what it means, but it just looks for certain.
It
words
works for
and-
certain words and stuff like that. Google actually like your Gmail account. If you have a Gmail account, Google scans through your emails and then like it makes predictive. You know, when you respond to it, it has like predictive text. That's all AI, right? So like we're inadvertently inside of this. Like Twitter will automatically like sort things out and censor things like videos and stuff like based on your settings. It'll say like you've chosen not to see this type of content. It's got like blood or whatever in it. So like we put things out there and the algorithms will go through it basically. So we're already teaching it basically. It's already kind of got a mind of its own to the point where like people will put out videos and stuff and then like the algorithm will immediately demonetize something based on a title or something. So like it
Sometimes
can't.
they'll demonetize something based on who knows what, and we don't know why it's demonetized because it's just the algorithm being a stupid.
Right. So YouTube
robot.
kind of has this thing that's like out of control sometimes and like it
Mhm.
doesn't know why it did it, but like
Yeah.
it's its own algorithm. Like shouldn't you know? But like it's
So
getting
it's like their algorithm is like a black box. So they've taught it that what they've just like put it with information and
well, I don't know. I'm not a technical software engineer, you know.
I think you might have to look at some Tom Scott videos about that. You know Tom Scott.
Yeah, I've heard of Tom Scott.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Tom Scott's the guy he always wears a red shirt.
Seems like a YouTube watcher.
Me? I do watch a lot of YouTube and frequent Twitter frequently. You guys heard about the NPC meme?
What?
No?
No.
Anybody? Have you heard of
I
it,
have,
Steven?
yeah.
Of course you have. I'm sure you have.
It's
It's really funny. You guys should go look it up. I don't know. It's also sort of controversial. So-
Okay.
I'll probably forget about it in
Won't?
like 5 minutes. Will.
Just don't tweet about it because Twitter will delete your account over it. So it's pretty
I
crazy.
feel like a lot of people. Wow. Do you guys use Twitter?
What? Twitter?
I use Twitter intermittently, not really. Every once in a while I check it. I don't really post there anymore.
Yeah, I don't really use it a whole lot.
I
Well,
don't know
what do
how
you
to
use, like,
delete
for
my
social
account,
media?
But I have.
Facebook, YouTube. Big Facebook usually.
Facebook is kind of like that's kind of like outside of your generation's typical.
No, it's outside of everyone younger than me.
Really?
I mean,
I would
Facebook
say-
came out in
Wouldn't you say
2009,
you're a
and it
millennial?
was like amazing. Like,
Wouldn't you say you're-
Wasn't
I still
2004
think it
it
is
is in the.
oh, sorry, no, I got on Facebook in 2009.
Wouldn't you say you're a millennial and that millennials usually use Twitter?
I mean, Facebook is more popular among older people. I think
Millennials are older people now?
no, I think
They
like
got
40,
popular-
45-ish,
Yeah.
middle age. It's like that's where the most popular use of Facebook is.
It got more popular among old people that were in like the generation before the people that really first started using it.
Right. So now I think Instagram is the most popular among like the most current, like probably like high school, college age.
Yeah.
Instagram and Snapchat. Most people don't use I don't think young people use Twitter at all.
Really?
No, it's more for like high profile people. And
I
stuff.
thought millennials use Twitter and
I mean, it might, but it's
baby boomers use or no, Generation X uses Facebook, and I think.
I mean, you go to, like, a random
Generation
person.
Z uses Instagram more.
They do.
more.
Something like that.
you go around on a normal college campus, and I don't think most people are like
Let's go
on
to the next
Twitter,
social media
probably
for the next
on
generation.
Snapchat, and Instagram. Like I think those are the two.
Snapchat is so
Snapchat's
annoying.
gonna be next one.
Snapchat isn't. Those filters are crazy.
I don't get.
It's really fun if you have like a kid, you know, like send
Oh,
stupid things to
yay.
your kid, like.
Your kid can look like a dog now.
Well, yeah, they like do
Like a
weird
wolf.
things, and then when you're at work or whatever, and you can't see them, and you send some sort of silly animation, and your kid's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but the
Entertainment.
filters are used to look cute. But wow, I really like seeing your natural self with that filter on. No,
It's a way of communicating. I don't know, like expressing your emotions and thoughts.
express it through text.
I mean, but not everybody like.
Or a phone call, or meet up with someone.
You're really
Simple
old
as
school.
that.
I'm just
What?
kidding.
Monica's like super traditional.
You know what?
Got her.
I had something that I could throw. I would throw it at you
You have
and
a whole
probably.
bookshelf. Oh, look at that skull up there. That'd be nice to throw at
This
him.
is not my stuff though.
Whoa.
We gotta-
So,
Yeah.
I wonder how this relates to.
Artificial intelligence.
I wonder if artificial intelligence is going. It's like, what does it do? Like,
Well, are we talking about like having an entire like another human being being completely made out of robot material? Winkle.
I don't know. I don't know what the next like natural progression really is.
Like, are they even gonna put it into a machine?
I mean, like if the internet becomes sentient, then
Becomes
what do we
what?
do?
What
Well,
did
think
you
about
just
it.
say?
Think about
How
if the
could
internet
becomes
It
sentient?
can
becomes-
tell what you're
Because
able
of
to look
Google.
for.
well, if Google like
What's sentient? Am I the only-
self-aware, like
Okay.
thinking,
Processing
like,
things on its own.
like a brain becomes a brain that like can think and make decisions and feel.
We're
Just
gonna
do
hook
it
up a brain to
yourself.
No, it's so much
the.
information
I know.
that it's called like an emergent property. Like the evolutionary theory thinks that's how we, whatever, that's how everything came to be. It's not like it was everything just happened. It's just like multiple different things came together, and then out of that, a new type of thing. It becomes more than the sum of its parts, if you want to use like mathematical terms. So like a triangle is 3 lines, but you put them together, it becomes something more than just 3 lines. It becomes like a geometric shape, right? That's like an emergent property.
From
So
2D to 3. Right.
yeah, and so it becomes something besides just 3 lines. You can put it together in a specific way, it becomes a recognizable shape, and then it has area, and then it has a second dimension, so to speak. Because if you just have the lines by themselves, there's no area, but you put them together, like you see what I'm going. So if you have all this information, and then it compiles, and like there's like the singularity, and then it becomes intelligent,
I'm
a
not sure
being.
that would happen unless Google was actually. I think Google, if Google was trying to put some sort of AI thing in to optimize its search engine, the search engine may become sentient.
Okay,
What?
I don't.
The search engine would become sentient, but not Google.
Google is a search engine. Right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, Google is a search engine.
So what are you saying then?
he was saying like the collective mass of the
They're
internet
trying
would
to
not be
optimize-
sentient.
they're
It'd be
trying
like
to
a
optimize.
piece of it
The
becomes
piece of it
sentient.
that would be searching. Okay.
They might be trying to optimize Google with how to use like algorithms and stuff to optimize Google's
I
search.
mean, don't they already do that? Like, you search something on Google and it directs you to where you need to go, right?
Right. Well, and then it keeps track of your search history, and then it shows you ads based on your search history.
But it's usually
It'll
based on
suggest
what
things to you based on your search history.
Like
Like,
usually that's based on that's not really as much as AI. It's based on keeping track of what people have done in the past.
it's like a certain type of AI, though.
Yes,
like-
but it's not.
Still learning about you, your habits and stuff. I mean, Google will tell me about my like drive to work and tell me like there's more traffic than normal today. Like, you don't know time I get off
Keep
work.
apps on, right?
You know, like I don't use it to go
Well, I
home
guess
from
maybe
work.
that's-
Why
I
does
think-
it
I think Google maybe
know when I'm going home? It's tracking my location and like, oh, you
think
normally leave around this period of time.
I think Google may be actually on its way toward Google search engine and its sort of related apps like Maps and things like that, and the whole OK Google thing may be on its way towards more actual sentience.
The Google Assistant is what you're talking about. You know, I can actually like they're working on like making it so it can like make a call for you.
Oh really?
Or you can just press
No, that's a real
the
thing.
button.
Yeah.
No, like it's
And
making it so like, hey Google, set up a hair appointment for me tomorrow, and then it'll like
Wow.
call the
Somebody
hair
will
place and like say I'm setting up an appointment for so and so.
And
Like
it's
you're home.
programmed to be able to answer a certain way of what they say, or what the person on the phone says.
It sounded really. It's pretty cool. But also sort of like terrifying. Like
It's like,
then I
how
could
do
just-
we know it's an actual person,
How-
right?
yeah, because it doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like a person. It's like so that's kind of weird. Like if you think about it, like there might become a point where like you could be talking to a robot and you might not know it's a robot. Or what if it just decides to randomly call somebody and say, "Hey, Daniel's gonna be at your house tomorrow. You know, you better not be there." I mean, I don't know, like prank phone calls by robots. Like, what do you do? How do you prosecute an artificial intelligence that doesn't even have a body or something? Like, and you can't just shut it down, right? Because it's part of the internet now.
Maybe
Like,
that's why we need it in the machine.
Well, I think it could be taken offline, perhaps.
I mean, they've done it before. Twitter had a bot. that started like saying like what was it? I can't remember its name. It was supposed to simulate a 17-year-old girl, and so like people could interact with it, and like it would learn from people and like and stuff like that, and it went fine for a while, and they had released it in like China, whatever I think first, and it went fine over there. But when it came to America, eventually people would like teach it to be like anti-Semitic and like praise Hitler, and then so like they killed it basically at that point because people totally took advantage of it and like kind of hacked its learning process by making it repeat the what they would. So
America.
right, yeah.
Why do you
So,
think
like,
the world
You got
hates
to-
us?
Well, I think it has some. Maybe it had something to do with like certain parts of American internet, such as I don't know.
Like Twitter.
I think it's American internet. It's what 4chan or something, or
Well, that's yeah.
4chan, or what was
that's a
the other
thing.
one? 4chan and Reddit and things like that. There's certain parts of American internet that are maybe worse than other country internet.
Yeah, I mean, we control most of the internet.
Well, but China actually has a separate. China.
Well, you know, Google's not allowed in China, right?
We have
You guys know
China.
that?
Is it not?
Google, like, China won't allow Google into this country.
So
Well,
what do they
Yahoo
do
or
for
Bing?
internet?
They have their own browsers and stuff.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
have,
They have internet. They
we
just don't
can't
have
actually. There's a
search engine Google.
There's a whole separate Chinese thing I don't know that we have access to.
Well, I think they censor it.
So
The
they're not
government
able-
censors their
Like
internet.
they can't like go to google.com if they wanted to.
Not like no.
They have firewalls around it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, but
Pretty sure
like
they have
Google's got a.
firewalls.
It's like a big thing for them to get into the Chinese market because there's billions of people there.
Well, 1 billion. Yeah,
Isn't it like 3?
it's 1 billion
1.3
people
or
in
something.
China.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's quite a bit.
1.3.
Yeah,
But
How
also,
many people are in
also,
India? Isn't there a lot
Just
of-
a little under
Right.
that.
right around the same amount.
Yeah.
Also, there's Russia has a separate internet for their government. By the way, yeah,
How do you know that?
because the
Where do you get that information from? Like, if Russia doesn't want you to know that, how do you? get
George
that?
Mueller. Or wait, no, what's his name?
Mueller
Mueller. Mueller investigation. We know everything about
Russia.
Russia.
Has a separate internet for their government because, according to, they don't care if people know because it's separate. It's not connected to the other part of the internet. You can't. It's like it's more like a.
I mean, we have a separate internet. We call it the dark web.
It's not really separate. You can still get to it from the other part.
You have
of
to
the
use special browsers to get to it, I think.
I know,
I
but
don't even
it's
know
still
how you would get to
it's
that.
still connected physically
What do
though.
you even do? with
Is
that?
it? I thought they were like separate servers and stuff.
Hack people?
It's still connected. You can still
Hack
get to it
people.
from like your modem and stuff.
Oh,
But
well.
with
with Russian internet though, you
They have a separate
It looks
modem
like
and
a-
everything.
Yeah. And China, I think it's protected
hack
by
you to
like
pieces,
firewalls.
man.
Okay, I got a question. Should we teach robots in religion?
Should we teach Should we teach
No.
Why
robots
would they
how to
need
get
to?
into the Chinese internet?
Robots aren't
Like,
Should we teach them because of the values that religion gives? Should we
well, okay, then you would have to.
should we raise them as Jews?
So are we gonna raise them as Jews, Buddhists,
but why do we get to
Christians?
choose? Who
all
would
of them?
choose what it is? They have to make multiple robots of different religions, or
Yeah, like
like they wouldn't.
Or should we just like make a separation
They wouldn't
between
experience the same
religion
thing we do, would
and
they?
As far as I'm concerned,
AI.
I don't think that robots would have souls.
I think you can.
what if
make,
it thought it had a soul and identified as a human?
What? Who's that?
No, no.
There's a video game called Becoming Human, or Detroit Becoming Human, and it's about androids that are so advanced that they want to become humans. And like you play through the game as like an android, and you like suffer these emotional things and stuff. Like as you become more and more human, you have to like make these decisions, and like it's one of those games that like what you do determines the outcome of the game. Can human like what if a robot thinks it's a human? Can we teach it religion to be religious?
I think
Buddhist
we can
robot.
teach the values of religion to it without teaching it religion. You know.
So then why do we have religion? Why don't we just teach ourselves the values of it?
Well, here's the thing: is
We don't want to listen to regular people.
but we know that we probably know that the robots. I don't think have anything spirit. I'm pretty sure the robots don't have anything spiritual, the actual spiritual like existence.
How do you know they can't develop it? You don't think it is?
But if it had a body and then it like transported its conscious to another body, I mean, what do you call that? What is
I'd
consciousness?
call that.
Translocation.
I mean,
I would call that. Yeah, I would call that copying files from one hard drive to another. Or
so then what if you took a human brain and you uploaded it to a machine? Would it still be human?
Would it still be spiritual? Would it still?
I,
Would it
I
still
would
have
say
a
the
spirit?
spiritual,
How would you upload it to
and the thing they would go different.
And you'd never die.
They would go separate ways though, because the soul would go,
Immortality is a thing, you know.
and there would just be this computer representation of somebody's consciousness that didn't have a soul anymore in the computer thing because
So you would basically
because the soul was-
die?
well the soul
the soul would be gone.
the soul would be fine.
So that means
over
the
there.
soul is inherently biological?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of God.
Biologically, though.
Yeah, I mean, God gave us.
He gave us a
souls when he-
temple.
What?
Like our body is a temple, but it's not our spirit.
So like how does our soul
That's where our
persist
soul
in
is.
if you go with the idea that there's an afterlife, then
Yeah, but if
once
it
the
dies,
body
it goes
dies, the
somewhere
soul
else.
goes
That's
somewhere
not-
else. Why couldn't you put the soul into a robot?
Yeah.
If you believe there's an afterlife,
Well, you'd have to.
it can't be inherently biological because
Maybe
we
that's what
die.
we're actually doing. Maybe.
I don't. You'd have to catch the soul. And I don't know if you could catch the soul and keep
How-
it from going. Yeah.
But if
How-
like
how do
if
how
you
do
just woke up,
force- a soul is like is part of someone's body. It's not like you can't just the soul is just like I don't think we can define where it is. You know, if you take someone's brain and upload it to something else, okay, sure, you're copying
But
and
it's still
pasting the
life,
brain.
though.
You can't copy and paste the soul.
but we don't know
Yeah, we
that.
do.
We believe
don't
that.
Even know where
We don't
our
have the
soul
technology.
is.
we don't
to do
even
it right
like
now.
a,
There's
like
so much
logically
can't
speaking,
fathom.
we don't even know how to prove the existence of a soul or a spirit, like
Well, yeah,
scientifically.
we can't. But
But, like,
We just
so-
know
so
about
we
it because of a greater.
We believe it, and different religions have different beliefs about spirits
Yeah,
and souls and
I
stuff.
think most people though don't think that artificial intelligence has souls. That was the
But
point I
why?
was
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it becomes conscious and sentient, then why would it not have a soul? It can feel things. It
maybe
can
it can't
choose.
become conscious and sentient. That's one option, I would say. The other option would be that even if it does, I don't think it can have a soul. That's what I'd say.
I just feel like once we get to a point where machines
Why
start
do you think
becoming
it- why
really,
do you
really,
think-
really
well,
intelligent,
Why do you think that it would have?
that we might need to like start implementing ethical like guidelines about how you can treat them and stuff. And like, it seems like a logical progression, right? Like,
Well, I mean, perhaps.
I don't see how the
But-
soul can move from one place to another.
I don't know
we
either,
can't-
but like we don't know anything about souls,
Yeah.
like outside of just what we believe about souls. So I mean, like it's just it's a mind, it's a thought experiment to see like
but we were
to
created
challenge
by
your own
God.
sort of.
How can we create something with a soul? We would need God to do that. We can't create something on our own means.
I mean, that's a perspective, yeah.
Okay, hypothetically, say we could. Just
I mean, the
mindset.
thing is, like,
Okay.
open-minded.
on the road that we've been going down, we wouldn't really be the creators of this new species.
Not.
Like we would have planted the seeds, but if we teach it to teach itself and
It'd be its
replicate
own
itself, it would basically create and progress and grow on its own. It would surpass us way beyond what we could comprehend. I mean, the fact that an artificial intelligence was able to calculate 10 to the 100 and something power worth of moves in a game, we can't even fathom that number, let alone like play
It's
that
really
many
good.
games, let
It's
alone
really
like.
good with big numbers, but that's not the same thing as having a soul.
I'm not saying. I mean, I'm just.
I
You're
feel-
right, but I'm like logically the progression is it would go way beyond what we could have ever predicted. It could have
Sure,
gone. That's
sure.
the point that I'm trying to get. Like
Like
we're playing with something we don't understand.
intelligence wise, physically wise, sure, but spiritually, no.
But spirituality is still a realm that we don't really. We also don't
And
know
it
about.
has been created by God. We can't. It can't just
What
be
if the
created
robot
by.
really wants to appreciate God, and so it's just like, hey, God, you know.
I
I
mean,
think it could appreciate God, but I don't think it could like have a
Connect
soul
with God?
itself.
I mean, that's just interesting because like If it looked and breathed and thought and acted exactly like a human, and you didn't know it was a robot, it just didn't have a soul, how would you know?
I don't think we necessarily would. I think God would know.
Sure. I mean, I guess God would know. Obviously, God knows everything.
Hey, God forms us in the womb. Why couldn't God form a robot in there?
It's not in the womb. No. Okay.
It should have
Whatever.
No, I just don't think we would have.
In the brain.
It didn't seem very likely, and I don't know how we would ever like measure that though.
We couldn't. It'd be the robots who measure.
What I'm saying is I'm not sure that we would ever. It's sort of like debating whether at one point in time somebody came to Mars from some prehistoric civilization on some prehistoric craft that we don't know about, and it went to Mars, and threw a big fit and left. It's like how would we ever know that? Like,
Right. Okay. I mean, there's lots of things that we can't know and stuff. My point is, like, I feel like we should think
Wouldn't
about
you
these
take
things.
a rocket to Mars? Someone should know there's like a rocket that moves, or am I just jumping in at the wrong time?
There's never a wrong time here.
Well,
I mean, would we treat? I don't know. I think it all like boils down to like how we would treat another different type of intelligence.
And by what we know from history, won't
We
go
probably wouldn't do it very well because we don't treat each other very well.
Yeah.
So
well. But what if we treat something
we,
that we seem
I
as
mean,
either insecure
if-
or superior.
if you
Great.
take all of human history and then like you have it at your disposal and you can look at all the information and then you
It's
make
already
a
gonna assume we're
calculated
terrible.
decision or guess about how you would be treated as a new entity entering into this population. Would you not think that it would be rational to assume that you would probably be discriminated against because you're different? Because we as a human race have discriminated against the different things.
Discriminated or
like,
used
always.
for your
All of
powers.
the above.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like we yes, exactly. Yes, the discriminated against and mistreated and used and I mean, we thought that other types of people were property and stuff like that as a collective whole. Like all, like it's weird. Like all human civilizations have had some sort of system where they believed that other people could be owned, and then we didn't like abolish that as a species for
until
until
England.
the
Well,
Western civilization got to the point where it's like,
Well,
okay, this is
England
bad.
England
All
did it-
people are equal.
England did it before the United
Ah.
States.
yeah.
Yeah, a European country. I don't think it was
It was,
actually
it was England.
It was England.
Yeah.
Well, they abolished it officially. There's another country that tried it. Like Iceland tried to do it,
Iceland?
Didn't Lithuania
And
try to
then-
do it maybe? Or
then
something?
they went back to like another ruler instituted it, and they got rid of it again. So like it's really weird, like who actually was the first person to like the first. So the point is Western civilization basically was
Killing my film.
the civilization that said like all people are equal, human rights, stuff like that. So like now I think about like if you think about like we introduce another like learning type of entity, would we not do the same thing to it? Wouldn't it be smart enough to proactively be like humans suck, let's just get rid of them? So like maybe
Well,
we
they
could like
discriminated against humans.
well
I
it
think-
would be discrimination, but like, I mean I don't know.
That would be depend on
We've
how
had
Would that,
some other
affect-
entity like us before?
Shouldn't we learn how to like treat each other so that like we kind of like get on the good side before
I
be
don't
proactive?
think that will ever happen.
You don't think so?
No, not until Jesus Christ comes back. No.
It seems sort of defeatist, but
I mean,
I get your point.
Look at history. You know,
Well, I mean, you
But
can help.
we can't. I don't. Like
I
I
There's
don't-
always going to be wars,
we
right?
can
Like,
always
there's
learn
gonna be wars
stuff,
with
but-
robots.
But I'm saying,
I would say that maybe it's possible to find some sort of like, okay, like King David and his kingdom. That was a pretty good time in their history. It's possible for something like for America to become something like that, but I think eventually, King David, his era ended. It's always gonna go back to sin and all that, and all these, like war and upheaval and sin.
So you think
That's
no
a
matter what,
perspective. Does
every-
anyone else have the other perspective? I
It's
mean,
like no matter what, everything that's going to come out of this robot is just going to be bad.
I mean, could we learn how to treat
Oh.
each other well enough
don't know
so that we could
I have,
have
that
an
much
intelligence
positivity
that,
about
Well,
like-
I
humans.
thought of some things. There's this. What if they had robots that were used for war or something?
that was the Zero Dawn thing.
Yeah. What if robots were used for war and were meant to be not exactly sentient?
I don't feel comfortable teaching robots to kill people.
No,
I
not
don't
kill
either.
people. Just kill other robots.
Yeah,
Just
but then
That's
if
the
they
only way
develop,
we use them for
if-
war.
Well, I mean, that's like
Those-
I'm
they
saying
would
like
be
that'd be
war
a
robots.
way.
Well, yeah, but like, so we only have robots for war. We don't have
well,
people at all.
that way people wouldn't die in war.
Well, yeah, but okay.
What's the? I mean, I don't see the point of a war at that point. Then
Exactly. What?
you go to war because you're willing to die for an idea or a value.
To me,
Like you sign up to
You have to
go.
instill the values
Well,
in the robots.
People go to war not
Yeah,
because
but
of that
if,
specifically all the time.
if robots, if robots are sentient beings, and then we teach them how to fight, couldn't they turn their weapons on us?
Well, that's what I mean, though. Like,
What if you
yeah,
don't make them
it's
sentient?
like,
That's why I said, what if you
no.
don't make them quite sentient then?
so you like wipe their hard drives and stuff.
Not wipe their hard drives, just make them not quite sentient, or some.
How do we do that?
We can't control what they do. If we develop it to be able to do things, how can we control it at that point?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
like
gonna think past us and around us in ways we don't even probably figure out.
the robot
You
on
can't-
Twitter, they didn't plan that. But
Yeah, I mean, they didn't make the robot so,
Well,
like
without
designed to like go
Control
like
because of
start
fear.
calling death to Jews and stuff like that. Like, I mean, what if a robot sides like the Twitter bot like started praising Hitler? So like, if it had the ability to do anything about that, that would be terrible, right? Like, so why aren't we not having this conversation about
Well,
what
the
we would
thing
do in
is,
response
It
to?
only
this
learns
thing that
what we
we-
taught it. That specific
Yeah,
robot.
but humans are terrible people. So like, why shouldn't we have
But-
this conversation about how we can do a better job as a society, so
Well,
that this thing that we've already sort of started
You should
creating
have some
doesn't?
kind of a way to tell, like, to filter information, and it needs to. It's be tricky to have a thing that filters information that's not like programmed by somebody who's really biased to make it think one way or the other.
I mean, yeah, but we're all pretty biased, aren't we? Like,
It's like it'll be.
that's a pretty tall order. We can't even get news to be unbiased,
That pisses me off.
to be honest.
I just want to find one independent news source. Can't.
no.
Well, I
It's
think
either
it's
one side
human
or the other.
psychology. Like facts don't sell, facts don't get views, facts don't get advertisement. That's a story. That's
All I want is facts. I'll buy facts.
I mean, like, we sell stories. We listen to stories. That's why we are conditioned for it as humans. It seems
Passive.
like.
I'm ready for something.
I understand. I feel your frustration. It took me a long time to try and figure out what the UN like definition of a refugee and like what asylum was and stuff like that. Like, it's a really huge, long, complicated document that was written in 1951. That's like so outdated language. We still use this referendum about how we define refugees and how they seek asylum. And it's like, don't you think maybe we could update this system so that it's not such a terrible
So it can be
long
more
way for
clear
people
and
to immigrate
concise.
here? Like, can't we
By the
figure
way, a lot
something
of
out?
laws and things are too long.
It's so
They're
long. So terrible.
They're
It's
unnecessarily
like
long.
unnecessary.
It's made so people so people can't understand it.
Yeah, and then
Except,
they
except
Like,
for lawyers.
obey the
Wasn't that
law,
also the
but
reason why they're so long too? Because I mean, then you know in detail, down to the core, what you're not supposed to do or what you are supposed to do.
Oh,
I mean, that's a
they can
good
be
point.
incredibly ambiguous and very
I won't-
long and drawn out.
But like the whole, it's like you try to be as clear and like
No, they're trying to. It looks to
You
me
tried
like,
to,
like
uh,
they're trying to
It's annoying.
obfuscate as much
hey,
as
why do you look
possible.
my way? Huh? Huh?
What?
It looks like they're trying to obfuscate as much as possible.
well,
It's
but
like blah, 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 blah.
The
if
thing
they
is, like,
had
you
a
make a
mini
law.
summary that's like here are the basics, but you're gonna want to look into
Like an
we did,
abstract.
bullet points to different views of how you could do it.
And
Like
sometimes
but the thing is,
Nice
like, they make a
little
law,
topic in the
and then
middle.
somebody finds a loophole, so they make an addendum to the law, and then they keep trying to cover all of their tracks, and it just becomes this long, drawn out.
I've
messy
read,
system.
I've read measures before in the voters pamphlet where
It'd be
the
nice if things were.
where the
Right.
summary
Well,
was not really what the law said, and it was actually they were trying to make it do what the summary said, but in practice it actually turned out to be the opposite.
You know what I find really frustrating is like,
Candace is an angry person.
voter pamphlets that are summarized by
Yeah.
religious groups,
Sure.
Well,
like where the thing
They're
like
super frustrating
because it's like, can you not put in all your weird lingo?
in your stupid.
I mean, also like if it's like super far one way or the other, it's really
I know
frustrating.
they can never.
And it's like, I get like, can you just tell what the law, like what it actually says? And it's
well,
yeah, how do you
They
yeah?
just have to make it their way, right?
So what if
everything?
Okay, we also.
what if a
plan,
robot
like-
came up with our laws?
Ooh.
No, bad ever. What if you designed a robot to come up with like the best law?
Well, I'm not okay. So I'm not comparing God to a robot, but God, gave us laws, right? And we couldn't even follow that. What makes you think a robot could create laws and we could follow that?
I mean,
He's dead blind.
sure, but like it still wouldn't stop somebody from trying. Like,
Well, yeah, but we're always imperfect.
would you listen to a robot telling you what to do
Why?
if it becomes like a law
Wow, I
enforcement, like a
totally
law
just thought,
enforcement?
Wow, that could somebody that's not like me would be different, right? Like, cause you.
I've had a
That same kind of prejudice.
I know.
Like if we gave artificial intelligence to like police forces where they could track down like investigate better and stuff, and then a robot comes and tells you like, hey, don't do this, and you're like, no, like that
Exactly.
seems
You
sort
don't
of like,
have authority. You don't respect it because.
it's just different, like, it's
you
just-
give it?
but like the
Or-
state gave it authority.
Or couple it with like an actual police officer.
That's been done before too in like movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I think there's like this discriminational like prejudice against things that are different than us. Like I don't know. I think I'd have a problem with the computer telling me what to do.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's not
Like-
anything against the computer.
But
it's
that,
just
that's
like,
what I'm saying. The
Is it
actual
right?
cop
Probably
could tell you
not,
what to do, and
but-
the robot could tell the cop what
I don't. I mean, I'm not
data
like.
gathered.
My point is like the underlying issue is that like we still have like, these weird biases and prejudices and things against like things that are different than us.
I
That
think
like
that's
is that good?
logical sometimes.
well, it's logical. Is
That
it
could be an
right? I mean,
excuse. Logic is an excuse for doing things you probably shouldn't do.
I mean, you can
Well, I mean,
you
like,
can
things that are
describe it
different than you
logically,
can be
but that
dangerous.
doesn't make
you
it
don't, you don't
right.
know what their
Doesn't make it
real
logical.
motives might be.
Yeah, for ruler.
I think
Pretty
that's
much
very
just
logical.
like this at my house.
Well, I agree, but that's.
But the
your
point is,
opinion.
the point is like, yes,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm
logical,
saying.
but is it ideal?
Is what I'm saying.
Like you can describe
I
it
don't-
logically, yes,
I don't.
but that doesn't make it right. Does it make it ideal? Should it be what we aspire to?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
It's logical for somebody to steal something if they're poor and need money, right? That doesn't mean they should.
I agree with that.
It's illogical to create a robot because it might help us.
Nope.
Maybe, but should we?
Jurassic Park. We get so caught up in what we can do, we don't think about what we should do.
I love Jurassic
Wait,
Park.
that's actually an interesting. Should if we were able to, should we, like, is it ethical to like combine like genetics and robotics and stuff like that together?
That comes back to what I was talking about with Blade Runner, like
Yeah.
creating. But it,
Like we have like gene editing technology now. Like I feel like
It's
we
pretty
could
crazy.
use
like they're
gene editing technology and like algorithms and stuff to basically create the type of children we want.
is it?
Oh,
You think that's ethical?
bad.
Why is that bad?
Why would you want to create the type of children
Well, what
You
if
could
the-
make
what
it.
if the
You
children
could
are
make it
gonna
look
be
whatever.
love
you want.
everyone?
Whoa.
But
What if-
why do you think it's wrong? I mean, why shouldn't we be able to use the
I mean,
technology to do what we want? Especially
I
for people
feel
that
like,
are
I
like,
feel like people have stereotypes
about, like,
of
in-
what kind of children they want.
what about
I
infertile
don't, I
people?
don't think those stereotypes are good.
I mean, it wouldn't be about. I mean, it might be about stereotypes, but like
What
the
about-
people designing the like, we can't control how their prejudices are going to be. But like, should we even allow the technology to exist in the first place because of the good things that could come about because of it? Like people who can't have children could use this technology to have children.
Well, what about like people who have Down syndrome, or that they look at the egg and they look at their chromosomes and they see that that person's gonna have Down syndrome when they're born. But if they fix the chromosomes so they have a
Don't
normal
have
life.
Down syndrome.
Oh yeah, that's not bad. But I'm saying, I'm saying selecting the
But
child.
creating your own
Okay,
child
this
is
child,
Needs to have blonde hair or something.
you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, muscular, smart. You know, I feel like people would always choose those type of kids, and we don't.
Even
we don't
the people
need
who aren't of
only
that
those-
color.
But like,
Prefer brunettes.
I feel like what would really probably happen is that people, it would start off as it would only be available to people that had money.
No, she's right here.
I'm redheaded, but I prefer brunette.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Why would you die? You prefer brunette? Anyway,
That's-
just kidding.
Stop.
You
Well,
feel darker and blonde.
Yeah, I'm gonna find something to throw at you.
I said there's skulls up there.
No, that's not my.
We don't have to resort to violence, guys. See,
We're in the
Watch
DAG. This is
me.
diversity. You know.
it means we can say whatever we want. Doesn't mean we can do whatever we want,
Just
right?
What I'm
throw
saying is
crumpled up
like she's,
pieces of paper.
Everybody
Red
gotta
hair.
hate on me because I'm a real person.
Yeah.
Are you a real person?
I like to
Or a
think I
pain in
am.
the butt.
How do we know you're not a?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. Like,
Pre-programmed.
Don't put your hand up. That's not fair.
This is getting out of hand. Look away.
Okay.
Steven, say something profound.
I would say that
Good
this
job.
may get marked down for violence on the Facebook.
Oh yeah, see, you're gonna demonetize my video.
Watch out.
I'm just kidding.
Because that
I
many
don't.
people watch it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, because nobody's. There was one person that was watching at one point.
Let's be excited about one person.
I mean, you gotta celebrate the small
I
It
can
was
things.
just
go on
Jonathan,
right now
though,
and
I
watch.
think.
You could.
Jonathan. Who's Jonathan?
John?
John. Oh, you call him Jonathan?
Well, his name is Jonathan.
Everybody just calls him
I've
John.
never heard him called
His
Jonathan.
name's Jonathan. It's Jon.
Well, whenever I see his name, it's always Jonathan Rupp on like Facebook or something. So I just
It's
said
Jon for short. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I've never
no,
heard him called that.
No H. Jon.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying because that was super relevant right now.
What time is it?
Steven's the best.
4:15.
410.
I have seen a lot of people though spell his name John, and I'm like,
But it's not even his real name anyway, so what does it matter?
Well, that was a rousing discussion. I think that was productive. Now
You
we
think
know.
so?
I think it was very productive. It made us think
This is
about
the
things that we
first time you
probably.
want to end it.
What? What?
Well, I remember last time you didn't want to end
weren't
the
here.
conversation.
Well,
No, one
I don't
before that.
want to end the
You
conversation
can continue.
ever.
I just gotta go.
Exactly.
I don't really care. Do what you want to do.
well, it's because it's past 4:00.
I mean, it technically ends at 4, so.
I mean,
But no one else has anything else to do.
Bye.
I like picking on kids. I like picking on everybody. That's why probably people don't like me because I'm real about
I feel like I
it.
should be more controversial, and I'd probably get more views on YouTube.
You feel like you should purposely try to
Like, be super
Countercultural.
opinionated and like.
see. That's like
But
super
like,
lame though.
like YouTube rewards that kind of behavior, and like I rebel against it. So I'm like, no, we're gonna like think about all the perspectives, and we're gonna be like
Maybe-
even keeled and like logical about this, and like make sure everybody's like opinions are valid, and like nobody watches it. It's like they bored.
so
a
at
minute
least you're
in.
trying.
Do you mean they
You're
like
just
more
gonna-
viral sort of things like
Yeah, that would be so cool to have like a viral video.
but what are you talking?
So you're gonna-
like
You're gonna value fame over doing the right thing.
Just have a cat.
Yes,
We have a fat cat
What a human.
Just
somewhere in the video.
I just come up with a philosophy with my cat. I don't have a cat.
Yeah,
I want a cat.
Awesome.
Get a cat.
Dude,
then.
cats are dope. I love my
Cats
cat.
are like evil though.
My
they're
cat's not
so,
evil. She's
like-
just kind of mean sometimes.
Well, okay. I mean,
She's really nice when she wants to be.
aren't we all?
But I mean, have you ever had a cat before?
I have had a cat. 2 cats.
You
One
seem
was
like a cat person.
One's name was Spaz. It wasn't really my cat, but it was my aunt's cat. Then we had a cat named Smokey.
Oh,
That's a common name for a cat for some reason.
He was gray.
That makes sense then.
It made sense. My brother named him when he was 2. I feel like
Look
I've had another
a pile
cat.
of smoke.
Maybe not. Oh yeah, we had a cat named. We had 2 cats. One named Sable and one named Tiger.
My cat seems to have a normal name, Daisy. I like that. It's super cute.
oh.
That's more of a dog name.
It can be whatever it wants, man.
Could
just
be a
assume
human
it.
name.
But that's the name.
Did you just
give it.
assume its pronouns?
No, but that's the name that you get that humans gave to it.
So?
What if it has another name for
Doesn't
itself?
understand.
What if a robot names
What
itself?
if a cat, like, what if they do name each other, they just, whenever they say meow, it's just a different type of frequency of meow.
Like there's a very specific frequency that is
For
the
each
name
cat,
of the
yeah.
cat.
No, I know they have a very specific type of smell for each cat, though.
Going around sniffing cats.
No, I've read that.
Somebody else says.
I've read
That's
it.
what I do. Like this cat smells different.
They
Than
could have studied the pheromones. They wouldn't have to necessarily
Sure.
smell it.
Yeah, they say
that's
that each
that's
cat.
more.
But it's
down
still
to
funny.
something.
Each cat
See,
has
that's why
different
you're
smell.
not viral.
This is what's wrong with you. You miss all the jokes.
Well, yeah, I've also read that apparently, according to like dogs and cats, each human smells different too. So,
Sometimes for better or worse.
That's why my cat really knows me, you know. Or like if
I mean,
you had,
everybody
like, a
does have their
blind
own
dog-
scent. Have you ever like gone into somebody else's house and it just has like a smell? Not necessarily bad, but you
Yeah.
can just smell it. It's,
Oh
like,
yeah,
different.
It has to do
like
with-
your guys' house smells not bad. It just smells like you guys.
Thanks. There's like so many people that live in that house. You
I
never
just
know
like
whose
know it's
smell it
Daniel and
is.
Stephanie's fish house.
It doesn't smell like fish, by the way.
I'm glad.
Well, because it's run by fish. It's a fish house.
So there's an
It's
organization
ran by a
called
fi-
Fish of
No,
Albany.
Fish of Albany.
It's a food bank, nonprofit,
Oh.
and we work
They own
for
it.
them.
But they just live there and work.
So its nickname is the Fish House.
Geez, you just don't even know.
No, I don't.
You're not involved enough. You gotta hang out more.
Just kidding.
I'll just leave then.
You need to hang out more. Fine, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. Come back. No.
No.
You should look at the NPC meme.
Okay.
Is it turned off?
Oh, should I turn off
Is
YouTube?
it on YouTube?
I might get banned.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually have a voicemail.
Somebody called you? That's surprising.
People call me way too often, but nobody ever leaves a voicemail.
It's still going.
What? I thought you shut it off.
I was going to, but then I enjoyed looking at myself too much.
Wait, where do I look it up on?
I just Google it
Psh, Jeez, Mom, can I give you late today?
or Firefox it.
No, what?
I'm just kidding.
How come we don't use Firefox like a noun or a verb? How come we don't say Firefox it?
Because that's dumb.
Why do I
Obviously, because Google's superior, right?
wait? NPC.
NPC, non-playable character.
NPC meme.
So in a game, you know, there's characters that you can't play.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
What the heck?
I've never seen a meme for it, though.
That thingy?
Yeah.
What's the meme of it?
Well, why don't you have a seat?
Well,
So
I'm not moving.
you
the
use your
move.
dang phone.
Mm-mm.
it's been around for a while, but like there was this thing on either like 4chan or Reddit where someone was
Wait,
like,
is it supposed to be a video?
no, it's like they wrote like I
Do you
have
know
this
What a meme is?
memeology. It's actually a thing.
What?
The study
Well,
what behind
actually,
memes.
it is.
Interesting.
You know, a meme is
What it does
actually
to us?
a meme is just an easily transportable idea. Like memes have been in existence for like ever. So like we just took it and like internet culture turned it into something that's totally different.
By the way, the person working here just left.
She's
So?
getting off work.
You
Yeah.
lock the door.
Maybe I don't know.
She's gonna go report us for talking about the NPC.
Oh, she might.
I
I mean, it is pretty controversial. I don't know why though. I mean, I still think we should be able to
It's
talk
a
about it.
non-playable
I don't-
character. Maybe
don't
the
think-
NPCs with the AI.
So what I mean, you have to know a little bit. So
Google is racist to other NPCs because AIs are NPCs. Okay, I get it.
no, so somebody said I have this theory that there's a limited amount of souls on the planet Earth, and so that because there are so many like people on Earth,
Oh,
there
that's
are
good.
certain amount of there are certain
So like
people
Steven could be an NPC.
that are just non-playable characters, and so they're just like
Isn't that
programs
like
to
a Baptist theory.
No, what?
That
No.
was Jehovah's
Like
Witness.
there's only like a certain amount of people that go to heaven or
That was a
something.
No. That's Jehovah's Witness.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. I have to get through the explanation of it. So basically, there are people that are like programs to respond to certain things in a certain way. And so like we have a conversation with them really well because they just say things.
Shut up.
They just say things like they're scripted,
I
like
mean
they're
that
programmed. Shut up in a positive way. So the whole thing is like it's kind of dehumanizing because you're calling a bunch of people not people, right? And so
I get what you're
like
saying.
the whole thing was like you can't just call a bunch of people like non-playable characters, like that's
That's
dehumanizing their humanity or whatever.
unethical, not moral, all these different things. Like you're just taking a person out of a person.
Right. And that's why it's been like a big
There's a
deal.
lot of people that were saying,
I'm smelling what you're stepping in, man.
Are you reading the memes right now or
Obviously. Any more donuts?
There's, yeah.
There's donuts?
Did you want it?
I thought you said you didn't eat donuts.
No, that's Marianne. Who said that?
No, you can have it.
Are
You
you
already
just
have
a
you had one?
How
Yeah.
rude.
Did you want it?
Just no.
He's
It's
associating
been
another girl
sitting
with a
there
girl.
on there.
He
Oh my
doesn't
gosh,
even-
yes, I'm a terrible person.
Just kidding.
Horrible people.
Anyhow,
Just horrible.
do you not want
No, I'm
it?
good.
She doesn't.
You said I'm terrible for not telling you there were donuts that are sitting on the
Yeah,
table.
but I'm not hungry.
Most guys.
Well, there
mean,
were
I
some
can't
people
win.
that said that there were certain people of certain political parties that have been
They
Huh.
made a shirt.
they've been thinking they've been like supposedly been programmed by to think certain ways by
Well, it's gone both ways. I mean, like the left and right. Yeah, I mean, like there's been ones with like all the NPC memes wearing like MAGA hats, and they're like Trump is good. And then like there's other ones where it's like
That's awful.
there's another one where it's like they're all together and they're like Orange Man bad.
That is freaking hilarious, though. I'm
It's,
sorry.
it's
Wait,
terrible.
Did you want to
but
see that one?
The Trump one?
The
No, I.
orange one.
Orange Man bad.
Orange.
What?
There's one meme where there's like all of them together and like they all say the same thing. There's another one that says like diversity makes us special.
They put blonde hair on one of them. I don't know. But I just thought of Rapunzel.
well, basically people are accusing people of not being able to have independent thought. That's basically what
Right, which is why.
You sure? recording?
Yeah, are you recording?
No, I'm just moving the camera around and no, I'm recording.
What?
Yes, still recording.
Have you recorded by laughing?
What?
Make a donut world.
I mean, who knows? I could be looking at
You should
myself.
go through the corn maze, and they have the best donuts over there. Well, you don't
Where
even
is
have
it?
to bother.
Is it in
It's
Albany?
in Melon
Well, I think
Jack.
this conversation's
It's on
over.
Highway
Turn it off.
20.
Goodbye,
How far away is
YouTube.
it from here?
How do I turn this
It's
off?
like, I would say 10, 15.
How do I stop streaming?
Because I have like an hour between. I need to be back in Albany. How long is it?
Wait,
No,
you can
not
put filters on
today.
your.
It's
You
not
have to
today.
go tomorrow.
I don't want to go tomorrow.
Or the next day or the day after that.
Well, maybe I'll do that then.
Yeah.
Jeez.